Hi everybody and welcome to Same Old Things, a YouTube channel about Android Netrunner and probably at some point other board games and card games too. My name's Andrew, so over the course of these first few videos I'm going to be playing some games of Netrunner. I'm going to be playing them online on the gintechie.net platform, and I'm going to be using some of the suggested teaching and learning decks. So the aim of these videos is really twofold. Firstly, I'm quite a casual Netrunner player. I've never really played competitively. I think I've played in a single GNK. So what I'm hoping to achieve with this series is just to kind of elicit your responses, get some feedback from you guys on how I can improve my play, what I can do differently, etc. And really the second aim of these videos is, well, I'm using these teaching and learning decks. I'm just hoping these videos will be a useful resource for newer players or more occasional players, or players who just want to kind of see how things work. They're not 100% familiar with the game or the meta, and they just want kind of a basic introduction to how to play these kind of simple learning decks. Okay, with that preamble out of the way then, let's take a look at what we're actually going to be playing. So the decks I'm actually using, they're from this website called Run the Net. It's run by this guy Abraham Jopp, who goes by the pseudonym The Big Boy in the Netrunner community. And the first of these decks we're going to be playing is his Rielle Kit Peddler deck. So if we take a look at her, Kit is a shaper. She is 0 link. She has a minimum deck size of 45 and she has 10 influence. So 10 influence is not that much. I think the average is like probably around 15 in Netrunner. But she does have this really cool ability which says the first piece of ice you encounter each turn gains code gate until the end of the turn, or until the end of the run, I beg your pardon. So that's really cool because it basically says any one ice server you can get into as long as you have your decoder on the table. So before we get into a game, let's just look through some of the salient points of this deck. So I've not actually played this deck yet, so this is really just going to be my initial thoughts on how it might work, plus some things I've read on the Run the Net website. So let's first take a look at Magnum Opus. So Magnum Opus is going to be our economy option. It's a core set staple. It's a 5 cost, 2 memory program, and it basically just says spend a click, gain 2 credits. So I imagine we'll be spending a lot of the game we're about to play just hitting this to get money. Okay, so the other thing that's probably important here is our Gordian Blade. So our Gordian Blade is our code gate breaker. So this is going to be very important for Kit because of her ability we just spoke about. And Gordian Blade starts at 2 strength. It's 4 to install, 1 memory. It boosts for 1 strength, and it breaks a subroutine for 1 strength. Sorry, it boosts 1 credit for 1 strength, and it breaks a code gate subroutine for 1 credit. The great thing about Gordian Blade is it retains its strength once it's been boosted for the rest of the run. So if you've got lots of stacked code gates, you can normally get through them quite cheaply. Okay, so let's look at our barrier breaker. So we've got Cerberus Lady H1. Now I think the interesting thing about Lady is that when you install it you get power counters on Lady, and it's actually those which you use to break barrier subroutines. So you only really have a finite number of uses with Cerberus Lady, so it'll be interesting to see how we can mitigate that during the game. I think there are a few little tricks and tips which maybe we'll pick up on as we play. And then our Sentry Breaker. So our Sentry Breaker is Femme Fatale. It's 9 to install, so that's really expensive. But it does come with this really cool kind of additional ability which says when you install Femme Fatale, choose an installed piece of ice. When you encounter that ice, you may pay 1 credit per subroutine on that ice to bypass it. And that ice doesn't have to be a sentry. So you can aim your Femme Fatale ability at, a barrier, and so long as you have the number of credits equal to the number of subroutines on that barrier, you can bypass it. So that can come in really useful. When you're just using Femme Fatale as a normal Sentry Breaker, though, it is quite expensive. I mean, it starts at 2 strength, which isn't bad, but then it's 2 credits to boost by 1. So that is expensive. That could get prohibitively expensive quite quickly. So I think the way to mitigate this is we've got this console called Dinosaurus, and it's 5 to install, so again, something else that's quite expensive. But it basically says when you host something on it, it gets when you host an icebreaker on it, it gets 2 strength. So, you know, immediately if we have our Femme Fatale on there, we've got a 4 strength Sentry Breaker, which all of a sudden is looking a lot better. I mean, the only problem is, you know, it's 5 to install Dinosaurus, it's 9 to install our Femme Fatales, that's 14. Yeah, getting pretty expensive there. And we've got to do it in the right order. We've got to install our Dinosaurus before we install our Femme Fatale. So, yeah, that's something we're going to have to think about. I suppose one way to mitigate this problem is kind of the kind of gimmick of this deck, which is Personal Workshop. So I'm not going to read all the text on this, but basically what you do, you put your Personal Workshop on the table, you load as many things as you want onto it, program and hardware I mean, and then at the beginning of each turn the install cost of each one of these things basically goes down by 1. It doesn't quite work that way. We'll see during the game the exact nuances of how it plays, but basically the key gimmick is you can also at any time at instant speed spend 1 credit to remove 1 power counter from any card hosted on Personal Workshop. So that's going to be important because we're going to be using Personal Workshop in conjunction with StimHack, which makes you make a run and you gain 9 credits. So you can see very quickly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be loading stuff on Personal Workshop, making StimHack runs, getting it off for essentially free, and then taking a brain damage from the StimHack at the end of the run. Okay, and then probably other interesting thing in this deck is this test run card. So on its own it just says pay 3, search your stack or heap for a program, install that program ignoring all costs, but at the end of the turn add that program to the top of your stack if it is still installed. So test run allows us to fetch our things like Femme Fatale or Magnum Opus, but then they get uninstalled at the end of the turn. However, when used in conjunction with Scavenge, which says as an additional cost to play this card, trash an installed program, install a program from your grip or heap, lowering the install cost of that program by the cost of the program trashed. Now, there's lots of weird things going on with this card, but basically what it allows you to do is you play test run for, say for example, a Magnum Opus, you install it, then you can use Scavenge, and what you can do, you can use Scavenge to trash that Magnum Opus, then you can use Scavenge to reinstall it, and you'll get the 5 discount, so you'll install it for free essentially. And now that Magnum Opus is installed, and it's a new copy of Magnum Opus, so the thing on test run where it said you have to install at the end of the turn, well, you don't have to do that anymore, because that initial instantiation of the program has now gone. So yeah, that's an interesting combo. I don't know how good it is or whether it'll work or not during our games, but we'll certainly find out. So yeah, okay, I think the main points to do with the deck, I mean, we've got some multi-access, so we've got legwork for some HQ multi-access, and we've got Maker's Eye for some R&D multi-access, and we've got some R&D interfaces for additional R&D multi-access, and again these will combo quite nicely with our Personal Workshop and our StimHacks. So that's sort of the deck. Let's go ahead and get a game. So let's go to the play section, create a game, and let's wait for an opponent. And here we go, here's an opponent. So let's go. So we're playing Titan Transnational. Okay, that's an interesting one. So let's say hi to our opponent. Let's say good luck, have fun. So what have we got here? We've got a Magnum Opus, so that's good. We've got a Scavenge, a Tinkering, so that's going to allow us to adjust what type of ice, what the typing is on the ice in front of us. We've got a Diesel to help us draw cards, and we've got a StimHack. Well, we've got Magnum Opus in our initial hand, so I quite like that. We don't have any programs for breaking ice. I'm going to keep this and see how we go. Okay, so our opponent took a mulligan, so that's interesting. So they initially They ice HQ, and then they put something in server 1. Okay, I think we're just going to play it safe first turn. We're just going to put down our magnum opus, and we're going to hit it 3 times. Get some money. So they have rezzed an Anson Rose. So he says, when your turn begins, place 1 advancement token on Anson Rose. Whenever you res a piece of ice, you may move any number of advancement tokens from Anson Rose to the ice. Okay, that's pretty good. So I imagine then this deck is doing some sort of fast advance thing using the card Trick of Light. Okay, let's click 1. Let's diesel to draw some cards and see what we get. Okay, so here we've drawn a Maker's Eye and we've got a nice open R&D. So I think it would be remiss of us not to go and run R&D and see 3 cards using Maker's Eye. So let's do that first of all. Okay, so we see Armoured Servers, so that's an agenda, so we steal that, that's good. We see a Dedication Ceremony, so I'm imagining that's going to be for use with Anson Rose. And we see a Morcelus, which is a pretty hefty piece of ice, which is a Code Gate. Okay. So I think that's all we can really do this turn. So I'm just going to hit Magnum Opus twice to get some more money. And let's see how our opponent reacts. I mean, they're guessing they're going to want to... Yeah, okay, so they're using the Dedication Ceremony on the Anson Rose as we thought. So that Anson Rose now has 5 counters on it. So that's interesting. So click 1, let's hit Diesel to draw some cards. And now that Femme Fatale is going to come in very useful to us, because what Anson Rose is going to do is it's going to get some of their ice up to really high strength. But if we can bypass that ice using Femme Fatale, we're going to have to pay a lot less in the long run to get through their servers. So what do we want to do here? I've got 7 cards in hand. I think I'm going to put down R&D interface, and I'm going to make a run on R&D to see 2 cards. Let's see what we get. We see a Morcelus again and a Changeling. Okay. And then I'm going to put down my self-modifying code. Now remember, my self-modifying code basically lets me tutor up programs, and in this deck it'll be tutoring up my icebreakers. Okay. Now, I really want to get rid of that Anson Rose. So what's the best thing to do? Oh, so has he just scored? Our opponent has just installed a card, advanced it. He's asked whether we have any actions. We don't. So I imagine he's going to use Trick of Light now. Yep, there we go. He's going to score what I imagine will be a Project Atlas. There we are, Project Atlas. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. I'm going to take money and then I'm going to run the Anson Rose server because I really want to get rid of that card. So our opponent is thinking about rezzing. He decides not to. Okay, and I trash. So it's odds even at the moment. We're both on 2 points, but my opponent has an Atlas token now. I think that's going to be important because it allows him to tutor up cards at will. I'm going to draw once. We've seen a Gordian, that's good I guess. What do we want to do here? What do we want to do? I think we need to get him to res some ice so he stays a bit poor. So I'm going to hit Magnum Opus twice. This is difficult. Let's run R&D. I mean, normally it's bad to run last click. Okay, so what we got? We've got a Changeling and it's a barrier. What to do? Do we even want to break this? I don't think we do actually. I think we really just wanted to make him lose money. So I'm going to jack out for now, and I'm going to ditch the tinkering. Or one of the tinkerings. Okay, so we know what's on R&D now. I'm going to hit Magnum Opus twice. I'm going to make some space in memory for my barrier breaker. I'm going to make some space. Now, we can now install Gordian Blade. And I'm going to run R&D. I'm going to use Kit's ability to turn it into a code gate. And it'll cost me 3 to break. So I've gone down quite low on money. But, I mean, I've got Magnum Opus to bounce back. So we see a Hortum, a dedication ceremony, and that's it. Okay. I think we really need to draw some cards and get some money, just to give us a few more options. Okay, so my opponent has double iced R&D now, so okay, that's fine. So let's draw. Let's just hit Magnum Opus 3 times. We really need to recuperate on money because we went down quite low there. Next turn I'm quite tempted to hit this quality time because I really want to start drawing through my deck. So let's do that. Okay, so that's interesting. We've got a personal workshop now. So I think I'm going to put personal workshop down. I'm going to host a femme fatale on it. And I think I will also... I could host another Cerberus Lady, but I've got a scavenge in my hand. No, I think I will actually. I'll host the other Cerberus, and I can probably ditch this self-modifying code. And we've got another quality time, so... Okay, so what's he put in that server? That's probably an Ants and Rose. So let's take 2 credit. Yeah, let's hit Magnum Opus twice. Let's run server 1. So it's a Colossus. So luckily, Kit's ability says we can turn that into a code gate, which is fortuitous. It costs 4 to break. If this is an Ants and Rose, I don't think we're going to be able to... Oh no, it's not. It's a Mumbai construction company. Okay. I'm going to trash that, although... When your turn begins, place 1 advancement token on Mumbai Construction Company. So yeah, so he wants these advancement tokens. So yeah, I think I'm going to trash it. Or do I want to? Because I mean, he can't res it next turn anyway. But then do I want to spend another 4 to run through Colossus again? I think not. I think I'm going to trash it. And then I think last click, I'm just going to hit Magnum Opus. So he's double iced that remote now. So okay, so let's just hit Magnum Opus 4 times. We need the money. Next turn we'll probably play this quality time in our hand to draw some cards and hopefully get some multi-access. Okay, so he has advanced his Colossus, so it makes it hard for us to break. Okay, that's interesting. How did he get 5? Okay, so I'm not quite sure how he got that many tokens on there, but that's fine. Okay, so let's draw some cards. Okay, what have we got here? So I think what I'm going to do here is he's got 5, so he can't res much. I'm gonna hit Sure Gamble to get me some money. Then if I play Maker's Eye normally lets me see 3 cards off the top of R&D. But I also have an R&D interface installed, so that will mean I get to see 4 cards off the top of R&D. I think that's worth doing. We've got 11 credits. We need to put some pressure on. So let's do that. So will our opponent res this first piece of ice? He's thinking about it, and he decides to. Yeah, that's probably a good move actually, because it means I'm going to start using my Cerberus counters on the second piece of ice, which is a barrier. But this first piece of ice, it's a code gate, so it's going to cost me 2 to match strength. It has 2 subroutines, but honestly, I'm not going to break. Or am I? I will break both things. I don't want him to have money. So I'm through that first piece of ice. Okay, I have to use my Cerberus, so it costs me 1 to match the strength, and then it's going to cost me 1 of these power counters to break the end the run subroutine. So we see Trick of Light. That's not good. That is not good at all, actually. He doesn't have the money to use it next turn. 2 Trick of Light. We steal an Oaktown Renovation, and we steal a Project Atlas. Okay, so that was a big run. So whilst I'm now on 6 points, which is good, he's got 2 Trick of Lights coming, so he's going to be able to fast advance out really quickly, and it's going to be difficult for me to stop him. What to do then? I am going to... I want to put down Beth. She won't give me any immediate benefit at the moment, but it could be quite useful if the game goes a bit longer. I'm going to put down Beth, and I'm going to be able to discard my self-modifying code. Okay. Okay. Now the problem I have at the moment is I haven't seen my Dinosaurus, and I have no memory remaining. So if I hit a sentry, at the moment I'm in a bit of trouble. Because I don't have the memory to install my Femme Fatale. I think I'm going to run HQ here, just see what's in there, because he might have drawn an agenda that he can't fast advance out, for instance a Global Food Initiative. So I'm going to hit Magnum Opus 3 times, and then I'm going to run HQ. Okay, so our opponent's just thinking here. So wow, he reses a Morcelus. So that's 5 strength. It's a code gate. It's got 3 subroutines. We definitely don't want to take the tag. We don't really want to take... Well, we could take the net damage. That wouldn't be the end of the world. And but we definitely don't want him to gain 1. So okay, let's match the strength. Let's just break all of them. We can recover quite quickly using Magnum Opus. Let's see what we get. Red Planet Couriers. Wow, okay. So that says 5 to play. As an additional cost to play this operation, spend 2 clicks. So in all you spend 3 clicks. Move all advancement tokens from all installed cards to 1 card that can be advanced. Okay, so that's very interesting to know. Interesting. So yeah, our opponent's just crediting up again. Okay, so let's draw. Let's draw again. This is not really what we want to see. Let's hit Magnum Opus twice, and we can ditch an extra copy of Magnum Opus. And I do want to keep 1 in hand. I'm always wary of programs being trashed. So I think I want to keep the Tinkering in case we hit a sentry, like the Colossus, which is over here. So I'm actually going to get rid of the second copy of Scavenge. Okay, so my opponent's installed an Oaktown face up. He's played Trick of Light, so he's going to be trying to fast advance this agenda. So there we go. He's fast advanced the agenda. Okay. Interesting. So that puts him on 4 points now. And he's still got an Atlas token. Sorry, a token on his Project Atlas. So that means he's going to be able to tutor for a card from his deck at some point. So I've got to be very careful here. Because, I mean, he could be close to winning. Still not seeing anything I want. So I think I'm just going to hit Sure Gamble. Do I want to run R&D here? It cost me 4. It cost me 5 to get into R&D, and I get to see 2 cards. I think I will do that. I mean, again, I don't really normally shouldn't run last click, but my opponent's so poor at the moment he can't afford to pay for a snare if I hit one of them. So I think it's worth doing. So let's run R&D here. So I'm going to pay 2 to match the strength of Hortum, and then 2 to break both the subroutines, and then Changeling cost me 1, and it will cost me 1 of these power counters on Cerberus Lady. So we see 2 cards. We see a Colossus. We see a Woodcutter. Okay. Woodcutter can be advanced only whilst rezzed and gains do 1 net damage for each advancement token on it. That's very interesting. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the extra copy of Gordian here. Okay. I think the way we win here is we just have to keep R&D kind of locked. So, let's draw once. That doesn't really help. Let's hit Magnum Opus. Cost me 5 to get into R&D. I think we just hit Magnum Opus this turn and set up for next turn. Next turn, we'll draw once. We'll try and get something like a Legwork or a Maker's Eye so we can get some multi-access. And if we don't, we'll run R&D and we'll see 2 cards with our R&D interface. So our opponent drew first click. He's advanced Colossus. And then he's just taken a credit. Okay, so he's clearly going for this fast advanced strategy still. So let's draw once. Let's draw twice. Dear me. Okay, so if we run R&D now, we know we'll see 2 fresh cards. So I think it's worth running R&D. So let's run R&D. So let's match the strength of Hortum. Let's break it. Let's match the strength of Changeling and break it with Lady. So we're down to 1 power counter on Lady, so that's something worth bearing in mind. We see 2 cards, we see a Hedge Fund, and we see a Note Town Renovation, and that's the game. Okay, so let's give our opponent good game, and thanks for playing. Okay, so that was the game, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I would really welcome any feedback or criticisms you have of my play. So yeah, okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.